Think aloud protocol means think about what you're thinking. Qualitative and quantitative information, they're both important. Research has been done since the 60s, and now they've been researching more about how it applies to interpreting our work. Plus, what we can use, TAP, that's the abbreviation for Think Aloud, protocols. We want a system for the Think Aloud protocols, like sharing with the other interpreters and discussing. What do you do with that thinking process? You discuss it. You can drag that thinking process into you with your interpreting. TAP most of the time means at the same time. Whatever you're interpreting, during what you're interpreting and what you're doing, and talking about it at the same time about what you're doing, that isn't possible. You just can't do it. But understand, transliterating, taking from a paper to sign, while you're trying to figure out that, you can talk about that and discuss it while you're doing that. Thinking after means that you interpret and everything and you finish your job, and then you can reflect on it and analyze what you did do, what you want next, or how you apply it in the future. Again, we want a system, not just random various ideas popping up. We want it to be focused. That's the reason we want that, is we want it you to be right behind it with the TAP experiences. Often you'll hear cognitive process, or the cognitive process. Meaning that, unlike meditation, you're thinking about thinking. Alright, you can do that. But now with TAP, we want you to take that thinking process out and discuss it. Share it and learn from it. Teach it to other people. That's what you want to do with that thinking process. And your tendencies, everybody is different. If it's the right answer or the wrong answer, there's no right answer or wrong answer. The thinking process usually is step by step, but not mine. Mine is usually going off to this point, going off to this point, then going to the main point, and then going off topic, but I always want to go back to the main point. That's what I do. But other people's, they're like first, second, third, fourth in order. And I look at it and I'm just like, I cannot do that. How do you do that? That meditation is good for that. I feel like that's their tendencies. But everybody is different on what they think. I may be thinking about children and babies and interpreting and Canada and the world, traveling. And you may be thinking about interpreting or your job tomorrow. Maybe you're expecting a presentation and it's going to be interesting. Or maybe it's not going to be interesting and you can know when to get out. Today you have to think which workshop you're going to go to for the afternoon. And I want to make clear, there are 4 presenters, or 4 presentations. I'm presenting 2 of them. 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours for both. But you can only go to one, either mine or the other person's. Or you may be thinking, oh, that's not interesting. I'm going to go to these 2. But you can't go to all of them, meaning that you all think differently. I think different, and that's very important. That benefits us. If I learn how you think, what you think, how you feel, how you express yourselves, what topic you talk about and discuss, or if you like to talk about animals and photography and baseball, you know that I live in Canada. I'm a proud Canadian. Canada has 1 baseball team. 1. We have a pitcher, and that pitcher uses both hands. It's true. Imagine his mind process and how he's doing that. He can switch from left and right. There was a rule for that situation named the vendette rule, or vendette rule. What that means is there came a new situation and they had to discuss it, and they had to figure out what to do about that. If a baseball... Do you like baseball? Well, there's a workshop. I'm not going to talk about that in the other workshops, but anyways. That vendette rule. Sometimes batters are really good on either their right or their left side. That's very common to be good on just one, or on both. But for a pitcher, it's not good. It's not common to be good on both. Usually just one. And the pitcher has to tell which hand they're going to use to pitch for each pitch, each time. So the batter can decide if they want to try to bat from they're left to right. You can tell I'm skilled from my stance here. But anyways, batters, that is their vendetta role. And the pitcher can decide to change it every time. So can the batter. But that's a different way of thinking. One baseball team for the Canadian against how many American baseball teams? We use K's to mark outs, not X's. Anyways, the TAP, I was just wanting you to know that. It's for your benefit. Now you know about the special baseball rule. Many people have searched different topics on TAP. Our profession as interpreting or transliterating or voice to sign or language interpreting, there hasn't been a lot of research. For example, these three people have already researched, and I'm going to borrow from their points. They discuss about children, math, the world, technology, computers. For the top experienced people, the very experienced people, they focus on that process and that work. So that's 75% of the time. 25% of the time, it's what's there. It's product. And it's interesting because most of the time we think about product, about what's there. What can we see? What's the end result? TAP for us focuses more on the process, about as much as you can. Interpreting, transliterating, research, spoken language, interpreting language, whatever. They're all usually the same. Usually the same answers. Interpreters think that when they're more advanced or more in-depth, that they can be successful, obviously. But what do I mean by more in-depth? I'm going to give you a few examples. Interpreters think that presenters what does the audience need? What do you need? Is there deaf hearing? I know that there's one Canadian, maybe more. I haven't seen any yet. But who is the audience? Third, the interpreting process itself. You can include all three of those in the TAP. And what your audience needs and preferences are, and the interpreting process itself. Usually, interpreters who are more advanced and successful, they show our experiences and our skills compared to new interpreters with less experience as interpreting. lean skills, or knowledge lean skills and knowledge rich skills. This is more simple, like more basic, focusing on vocabulary and grammar and sentence structure. It's limited information that's there. When you look at the product, it's just on the surface. And maybe a bigger challenge to figure out how to solve that. The knowledge rich is more process, more meaning, more context of the whole thing. Who's involved and what does it mean? Their discussions. Why am I here as an interpreter? Am I doing my job? It's looking at the process. And that's 75% of the time, and that means that's very good. Practice that 75% because it's good. Rich is like looking at the social situation. Many times deaf children are isolated if they're mainstreamed. Because where is their social? How do they connect with the other children? Like adults, if maybe you go to a conference to get information. And does that mean their social behavior is behind as well? That's knowledge rich. The interpreters that are more, they notice things more. They notice maybe if someone's sad or happy. And how we feel affects our interpreting process. Not meaning that it's more on the surface. Whether we're an extrovert or an introvert doesn't matter. It's our thinking protocol and how we use the system to focus on the process itself. After workshop, I'll expand more on the discussion about that. But now, let's put our glasses up and it may be hard to think about, but you need to think about the process.